And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Gainbridge Fieldhouse for my Fieldhouse Files live post-game show. The Pacers outscored in that fourth quarter 31-17. It was a doomy fourth quarter that ultimately was costly for them. Outscored 12-1 over the final couple of minutes. They had that lead there with about 3 minutes left and did not make another field goal the rest of the way. Pascal Siakam led them in scoring with 20 points. Only got one field goal attempt and did not score there in that fourth quarter. Just got out of the post-game press conferences. We talked with Rick Carlisle, Pascal Siakam, and Tyrese Halliburton, and no overtly bold comments about officiating as we had 71 combined free throws. Shout out, Dustin. And so free throws are obviously a big issue. The disruptive fourth quarter was significant for the Pacers. Tyrese was saying he takes ownership of that, really did not get them within the flow of the offense, did not run as much as they wanted. And one of the things you wonder about, and they're probably not going to give a great answer when you have all that media in there, but for how much the Pacers want to play, so many foul calls, again, just interrupts every time they're trying to get it moving. There's constant foul calls. I thought it was a very choppy game for that reason. I mean, in that first half, it took extra long because of a couple of reviews, couple of flagrant fouls that were issued. You had a challenge. And ultimately, though, this one's on the Pacers as they let this one slip away from their grasp because of that fourth quarter. 31-17. What happened there is a complete 180 of what happened in game one, really, where the Pacers trailed most of the way, had a strong finish to that one, made their three-point shots, and were able to leave Oklahoma City's Paycom Center with a game one win despite not feeling great about it. So this is a frustrating one, absolutely, for this Pacers team. And before I go much further, I got to say, the fans here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse were phenomenal. They were standing for basically the majority of the game, all in. It was as if this was a superstar concert, like it was a Taylor Swift or something. Everybody was standing throughout the entirety of the game, and one of the best atmospheres that I've been a part of in the hundreds, maybe thousands of games here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. An incredible number, once again, of Pacers alums in the crowd. I'll have all those names for you at my fieldhousefiles.com, my At the Buzzer column. But I also want to get your thoughts about this. I know many Pacer fans got to be frustrated about the way in which this one played out, how they seemingly had control most of the way. And it wasn't until that fourth quarter, it wasn't until really that SGA got it going. There was that one stretch over like a minute period where SGA scored 7 straight by himself. It really jump-started what the Thunder were trying to do offensively. And in turn, it was a 31-17 fourth quarter that was costly for the Pacers. And now we go back to Oklahoma City with the series all even at 2 games apiece. All right, let's go to the comments here. Not sure if I stay for the broadcast too depressed. Yeah, I understand that, Mr. Compton. Absolutely. It's a disappointing one because given this atmosphere, given the incredible fans that they could rely on, they just did not execute in the fourth quarter like we know this group can, right? And it came down to 1 assist in that fourth quarter. That's not Pacers basketball that we've been watching all season long. I already was looking forward to some of the stats that stood out if it did turn out to continue to be a Pacers win, because they dominated that 3-point line in the game, knocking down 11 compared to just 3 for Oklahoma City. And the Pacers this postseason were, I think, 11-1 when they made more 3-pointers than their opponent. Turnovers were basically a wash, although here's where I would note it's much different than, say, those 25 turnovers they had in game one. And that one is about 25 giveaways, to which OKC only scored about 9 points from it. Tonight, very different story. The Pacers turned it over 16 times, several in that fourth quarter and late, to which OKC converted into 25 points. Significant turn there. And then free throws was the other big thing. No big proclamations or anything from the Pacers or head coach Rick Carlisle post-game about it, other than got to do a better job of defending without fouling, got to keep them off the free throw line, because that's a difficult spot when OKC is such a good foul shooting team. They were 34 of 38, and again, 71 combined free throws between the two teams. Jency, appreciate the contribution there and the full support. You've been here almost, I think, every single post-game show, so it definitely does not go unnoticed. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know, Lindy, obviously going to be some frustration with the way in which this game was called. It was close. They called it tight. There was flagrant ones that really, to me, didn't seem to be flagrant ones, although I did appreciate the consistency where after Toppin was given one, then you had one on the other end with Lou Dort, even though that one, I guess, kind of did make sense because it was a blow to the head, and they're overly cautious about all of those. But I didn't think those necessarily needed to be reviewed and spend all that time. Again, that breaks the flow and the rhythm of the game for both teams. Has Miles Turner done anything positive in these finals? Yeah, he has. Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. But he's definitely struggling, to your point. The last couple of games, he's under the weather, not feeling clearly well, and not playing up to his standard. I mean, he missed all 6 of his, I think it was all 6 of his 3-point attempts. He's way better than that. Usually this Pacers team can count on him for a couple pick and pops. And from that, especially late in the game, he had one of those, and he just mixed it up. And so many times when he's able to knock down that pick and pop operating with Halliburton at the top of the arc, that leads to success for this team, but it did not here in this one. You can tell he's under the weather. You can tell he's not at full strength. I think he had an air ball, a 3-pointer. That's not like him. And he only grabbed 2 rebounds and 20, or make that 31 minutes of work. I was surprised, given how well Obi Toppin played, that they did not stick with him, that they did not allow for him to finish this game, because I thought he was having a much better performance than Miles was, just due to a number of reasons. But Obi Toppin finishing with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and the big performance off the bench for the Pacers. OKC, on the other hand, they had one big contributor, that being Alex Caruso, who had, in game 2, also had 20 points off the bench. Aaron Wiggins had 17 in that one, knocked down 5 threes. Well, since then, he scored 1 point over the last 2 games. So you can tell that was an isolated case, and at least in terms of Aaron Wiggins' perspective, with just 1 point over these last 2 games. Quimono, appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Appreciate you jumping on and joining me for every one of these Pacer Live post-game shows. Let me know if you have a comment or question that I can get to. But to your point, yeah, absolutely. Miles Turner, he's got to be better. I think a couple days between games now will be beneficial to him, because this is the one in the series where there's just one game, just 1 day of rest for the teams. But given they're both dealing with it, and I thought this is a scenario that would play better off for the Pacers, given the fact of their playing style, how they want to get out and run and take advantage of their opponent in that instance. And I thought OKC kind of worn down there towards the end of that first half. Pacers took a 3-point lead into break, and kind of go back to game 1 comparison. I was thinking in my head, in that one, Thunder really should be up 22-25. And this one, it felt like the Pacers should have been up at least 10 points by halftime, given how different the teams had been playing and success they had. I think OKC had like 1 3-pointer, 1 of 12 maybe by that point, and still the Pacers' lead was just 3. So that really emphasizes how, when you have it going, you have to just pounce. You can't leave the door open, because both of these teams are just far too good, and they're going to take advantage of it. Pacers should have won this one. Yeah, it sure felt like it. But then again, think about it from the Thunder standpoint. They should have won game 1, and they didn't. So it kind of is a wash from that perspective, and then both teams winning 1 game pretty decisively. Alex, how on earth do the Pacers blow a 10-point lead at home in game 4? Officiating was that bad. League needs to be held accountable. Yeah, we'll see in the last 2-minute report, but obviously that just covers the end of the game. I did not like the number of free throws. That's just not a good game from aesthetics and trying to watch that one. 70-plus free throws. In comparison, I think it was game 1 had 45 free throws. So it was a very different feel, look, comfort to this game, and it's one where teams have to adjust. And from a Pacers standpoint, it meant Aaron Nesmith fouled out for the 2nd consecutive game, and then Miles Turner was in foul trouble. Andrew Nembhard picked up so many fouls early on. So, yeah, I think MK Sink says it well. Both things can be true. Pacers blew it, but officiating was a challenge. And I know something sitting up there nearby Pacer fans who were on their feet, it was something they clearly did not appreciate and enjoy throughout. Have so much faith in Ben making his free throws. Disappointed. Yeah, that was a tough look right there, where he went to the foul line a couple different times and missed most of them, where this Pacers team left 8 free throws on the table, 25 of 33. Now, I don't think it's why they lost, but it certainly didn't give them a chance there late in what became that 7-point loss. And by the way, to me, the notable thing about all that is, coming into the game, the The Thunder were favored by 6 points, and they just covered 111-104. Remarkable feat by them to do so, and the books kind of had it spot on. Now, again, if the Pacers played their style and played to their way, it wouldn't have got to that point, but it's amazing how sometimes they are spot on. And I'm sure going back to OKC, you can guarantee it. The Thunder are going to be favored for the 5th straight game. Do I think the inconsistent playing time hurt Mathurin's free throws? Perhaps. The thing with Ben is he just wants regular minutes. It's not 2 and 3 minute stretches. He does a lot better when he's playing 8 minutes at a time. And that's why it did make sense, I thought, in game 3, where they played 3 or 4 reserves, but Mathurin was not one of them. He started the second quarter and was left out there for 10 straight minutes. That's where he picked up 14 points in that second quarter and was so successful. So for him, what did he finish with? Only 14 minutes, but finished with 8 points and a couple of rebounds. You would have liked to see a little bit more consistency there. And maybe you should have seen a little bit more late from TJ McConnell, given his success off the bench and how he can help disrupt things. And also when there's chaos, he can also be an organizer, a guy that can break through whatever OKC is. As they were being disruptive, he could have had success perhaps there. But more than anything, it was Turner, who you understand being under the weather, but man, he struggled and didn't play nearly as well as we've come to expect and see from him in his 10 years here. Yeah, a lot of people saying how much Pacers blew it. I get that. Yep, there's another one. Kimono. Pacers blew it. As for the namesake and referring crew, the least the better. It's impossible to play with pace with all those foul calls. Exactly. That's my biggest concern and issue, I think, with all this. None of them really wanted to get too much into officiating. You can understand that, right? It's move on to the next thing. And like Rick Carlisle and his staff have been preaching all postseason, you're treating this like a battle. And for the Pacers in this finals, it's an 18-day battle. I think tonight was day 9. So you just move on and wash it away. And the other thing that is good in the Pacers' respects from the standpoint is they've been really good at bouncing back. So is the Thunder. They're now 6-0 coming off of losses. Pacers, on the other hand, have not lost back-to-back games in more than 3 months. You have to go back to March 10th. And so that should provides them with some confidence as they head back out on the road. Remember, it's a 2-1-1-1 type series here. So just to OKC for one game. They will head out on Saturday, allow for them to get more than 24 hours settled in to their beds in the scenario there in OKC before game 5 coming up on Monday. But yes, to your point, to tell the truth, I totally agree with it's difficult to play with that pace and that style of play and such when the flow is constantly interrupted and several free throws and several players are in foul trouble. That becomes an issue. But more than anything late, it was the Pacers just not executing, did not score a field goal in the final 3 minutes, didn't get the stops as something that they did do quite well, actually, in the first 3 quarters. Andrew Nembhard was competitive like hell in getting stops. Nesmith as well out there on the perimeter. Dom Live says Pacers still good, bounce back win coming. There you go. Do I feel Halliburton deferred to Nembhard to run the offense too much in the fourth? I think he kind of admitted that. He said it's on me. I got to take a better onus on setting the pace, pushing the tempo and such. I think there were better opportunities for him to take on his matchup. He was oftentimes getting Chet Holmgren in a switch, and more than often than not, he settled for the 3. Although here's the thing, in most cases, you're good with that. He's probably going to make 2 of 4 of them there late in the game. Now, as a team, Pacers did not hit any 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, and that spelled doom. 0 for 8 over that final period, and that's just difficult for them to recover from. I think it was in game 1 as well as game 3 where the Thunder were the team that did not make any 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, and obviously they lost both of those games. So that's something I'll definitely be tracking coming up in game 5 as well. The 3-point percentage and the number of shots taken, not ideal. Pacers only shot 31% from 3-point range. They did outscore them by 24 points, but you're right, the percentage was not nearly what it was. Attempts for both teams were basically the same from overall, but Pacers settled for way more 3-point opportunities. No doubt about that. I think this Thunder team, it's remarkable. They only took 17 3-point attempts, only made 3 of them, and still came up on the winning side. That's something when you're looking back at the data and the analytics of all that, it doesn't feel like OKC should have been able to do what they did. Let's see, what else do we got here? Appreciate everyone joining me here well after 12:30 from the court here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Pacers will bounce back and take home game 6. You think so, Just Jules? Take it at home? That would be fun. The notable thing for Pacer fans here is all 3 of their ABA championships were won on the road. So that's something I think moving forward, if they can come away with the wins, they would love to experience that success here on their home court and be able to enjoy it. We saw how much fun they had during the Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 win right here at home with all their families and alums in the crowd and such. And so either way, you got to take care of Game 5. And I can tell you this, the other thing that's in their Pacers' favor is their narrow-mindedness. I mean that in a good way, because all they've focused on is one play at a time, one quarter at a time, one day at a time, not tried to look ahead for this exact reason. They knew this OKC team is a tough matchup. They knew they were going to challenge them so often. And so now you carry that mindset down to Oklahoma City for a Game 5 that I think going into tonight, most of us, myself included, felt like whoever won this game would come away with the series. And if that holds to be true, Pacers are going to be kicking themselves for the way they did not take a big lead early on, that they failed to finish there in the fourth quarter, that they failed to execute and have success there in the final 3 minutes where they're outscored 12-1 to close the game. That's not that clutch team that we're used to seeing. This team, I think, was 9-1 entering tonight. 6-1, 9-1. Either way, the team was very good all postseason in clutch games. That was not the case here tonight. Brian asks, should Carlisle consider calling one of his 2 timeouts just to regroup late? I don't think so. Again, that's interrupts the playing style. And on top of that, it allows for OKC to settle in, to catch their breath, to get organized about what they're trying to do defensively. So the way in which this Pacers team wants to play, given their pace, given their conceptual offense and not play calls and such, no, I think this team's better off, most cases, not using all those timeouts and getting into what they want to. What I think I would have liked to see was Toppin stayed in the game rather than Turner, just given Turner clearly not 100%, not knocking down shots, wasn't getting rebounds. You just hope he can be more of himself coming up in Game 5, because that's not the version of Miles we're all used to. Is it possible Dort's physical defense on Halliburton wore him down? I don't think he got worn down. I don't. I think we saw Thunder turn up their level of pressure. I thought they did a great job of getting to the free throw line. Yeah, you can question whether or not those fouls should have been called certain times. And then on top of that, Pacers did not execute late. They turned it over on countless plays and didn't get it inside. And then they just missed shots. That's the other thing, is sometimes you just miss shots. And I think that's what a lot of their 3-pointers were. It didn't feel like they were necessarily forcing them, even though they took about 10 more than they did in Game 3. Seems like such a disappointment with all the legends in town. Will Reggie be back for Game 6? I did not talk to him, so I am unsure. But it wouldn't surprise me if he stays around. He's got a place here, I believe, on the north side, near Geist, where obviously he used to have a home. He's been here throughout the week. Mark Jackson's been here throughout the week. About a dozen Pacers alums remained here for much of the way. And there were many more we saw, and many more they highlighted on the big screen during the game, by the way, I should note. Jeff Foster, Austin Crozier, Billy Keller, Derek McKee, the list goes on. And so I thought that was a really cool thing that the Pacers did. I think the Knicks kind of started that, just basically showing alums during the various timeouts, and several of them courtside, but many more of them scattered throughout, especially up in the suite. I would expect the Pacers to do their best to bring them back for Game 6 next week. This game is going to haunt the Pacers for 10 years. It very well may. Although, if they win 2 of the final 3 games and win their first NBA championship, it's not something you're going to be talking about. You're going to be talking about them stealing Game 1, which allowed for them to have a performance like this in Game 4 and for it to be a wash. But if they don't win this series, they don't win the championship, yes, I think it will haunt them, because they were right there. And this also speaks to how much the Pacers have lived by the margins over the last couple of months. Most of the time they've come out on top. I think they've had a couple of losses and then another one here tonight. But the majority of the time, probably 80% of the time, the Pacers have come up victorious, well above the odds they probably should have. That's why it feels like this is the team of destiny. It feels like it's a team that is due to win the championship and things just breaking their way. But that was not the case here tonight. And a lot of frustration, obviously, for the Pacers because of it. They felt like they were right there. They felt like they were should have had a larger lead, and they should have. Getting up by 10 there was not nearly enough. What was it? They were up 86-76, their first double-digit lead of the series, and they just could not hold on in this one, and it's a costly one. Yeah, Ben's still very young. I didn't like that one foul call where it was very late, 1 minute left maybe. No, it was like 24 seconds left, and it sent OKC to the foul line, and they got the ball. I thought the way in which these two teams are wrestling and wrapping each other up, it's probably not something I would have liked to see called. If anything, maybe a type of play-on scenario there. Brian asks again, won 4 games played now. Are there any more adjustments Carlisle can make? Absolutely, there are adjustments. No, you're not starting Obi Toppin over Miles. I can almost guarantee you there will not be a change to the Pacers starting lineup. They've started the same way most of the season, excluding kind of the injury portion of the season, started the same way here in the playoffs. That is not the adjustment I would see. I think the way in which you guard, the pressure applied, maybe the different defensive matchups, that's what you're looking at. Now it's slim changes. For example, one of them I haven't addressed yet that we did see was Oklahoma City ultimately deciding to start differently, deciding to go back to the double bigs with Isaiah Hartenstein starting over Gasson Wallace, and neither one of them really made a significant impact in this one. 6 rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein, and he got under the Pacers' skin during that one sequence certainly, but Wallace basically rendered ineffective. Caruso was the main star off the bench and the best bench player in this night. And again, what have we seen? The series kind of teeters based on the bench, and Caruso just slightly better than Obi Toppin in this one. On a brighter note, welcome back, Caitlin Clark. Yeah, there you go. She was here, left at halftime, it appeared, and so I'm not counting this one against her record. The Pacers came into this one 8-0 when she was at the game. She said earlier today at practice that she wasn't going to stay the entire way, just given the fact that they have a game tomorrow, and it's in the afternoon right here at the Fieldhouse. So behind me, I can see the level of crews cleaning up and getting prepared for the afternoon game between the Fever and the 9-0 Liberty, last team in the W that is unbeaten, and that game will air on ABC as well. So probably many of the same crew members working that game as well. Caitlin Clark's back, Sophie Cunningham's back, and so yes, several Fever representatives were at this game as well, but they did not make it past halftime, which I totally get. They have an important game coming up tomorrow. I'm wondering if fatigue hit the Pacers late, given that their offense bogged down as well as not making threes in the fourth. I think that could be reasonable. I think that'll be more obvious on the film. And it is funny how the Pacers post-game stick to many of the same talking points. Got to keep the Oklahoma City Thunder off the free throw line more often. Can't allow for those 38 free throw attempts. Have to have better execution late, have to pick up the pace and play their style of play. And then from there, no big bulletin board material provided for the Thunder as well. So I thought that was handled correctly by the Pacers. And now with the series all even at 2 apiece, we move on to OKC coming up on Monday. All right, a couple more I will take here late into the night. Kevin asks, says time to quit messing around. The SJGA step back often starts with an aggressive extended elbow. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. I think that's a play on to me. I get it. What a letdown late tonight, PJs. Yep. Thanks for joining me here from Evansville. Appreciate it. I think you've joined every single one of my live post-game shows. But, yeah, this is one that I think for the Pacers, you're going to let live with you for the next less than 24 hours, probably until tomorrow afternoon, until you review the film, till guys are called out. And I heard Rick Carlisle had a harsh film session with him a couple games ago. And look, it led to victory there. And so I think he knows how to push the right buttons. He's the experienced coach in this scenario. And one of the advantages I think that the Pacers have, because for the back half of this series, the Pacers have looked like the better team. It was clearly all OKC in those first couple of games. Pacers only leading for a minute 53 over those 2 games. But I thought tonight especially, Pacers seemed like the better team until that fourth quarter, until they were outscored 12-1 over the final 3 minutes. And in times when the Pacers seemingly had an answer for everything, they did not in this one. And that's why they came out short here tonight. Pacers finally choked down the stretch. I don't know about that. They just failed to execute. Made some had some missed shots, made some poor plays. And then what you also saw was OKC executing, where you had that 7-0 burst from SGA. You saw them make their free throws when it mattered most in the fourth quarter. They were 12 of 14 and got to the line. Obviously, a great deal with those 14 shots. So this is one, again, if you're the Pacers, you let sink in until your flight maybe tomorrow. And then from there, once you land in OKC, you move on and look ahead to Game 5 and don't let this one carry over. You don't let it allow for it to sink in more and have a greater impact than just one game. Oh, PJs, you were there tonight. Fantastic. Hope you were able to enjoy that one. Just Jules, appreciate it. Yep, you are welcome. Glad you were able to join as well. And no, to me, Basil, I don't think that to me, that's not choking. To me, that's them. To me, it's the difference between executing and coughing it up, between making all these poor decisions. A lot of it was just them missing shots, going 0 for 8. Yeah, it's been a long day. 0 for 8 from 3-point range. And yes, there were a couple of bad turnovers, but to me, that was not them choking the game up. It wasn't. It was them being outplayed. It was the better team won that fourth quarter. Went away from Siakam late. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And again, it goes back to what I've always said about Pascal. Love to see him be more demanding and want it more. Did not score in that fourth quarter despite 20 over the first 3 quarters. Just one field goal attempt. You got to give it to him in the post. Got to give it to him on the high post even, and allow for him to create and see what he can do, because he's also one of their best players at getting to the free throw line. Got there a team high 8 times. Mathurin also got there 8 times, by the way. But that would have been something, again, I would like to see more of, was them to have Siakam do a little bit more, carry a little bit more of the burden, especially maybe when the offense slows down and gets more into the half court, because that was a scenario where they were unsuccessful and needed something to break through. There was one Halliburton layup that halted like a 13-2 OKC run, but they needed more help, and I thought Siakam could have provided with that. I appreciate that, Lindy. Yeah, just trying to provide what I saw in the analysis from the first watch. And again, we're high up in the balcony, so you don't have the best angles for everything. So I also have the game broadcast on my monitor to follow along there as well. But I think we'll see a lot more over the next 24 hours. We'll talk to them again coming up on Sunday before Monday's game. That's again at 8:30 Eastern tip, and then be back here in Indianapolis. We know there's at least one more Pacers home game this season. That will be coming up Thursday. It'll be the final one. It's actually my birthday. It's also Benedict Matherin's birthday next Thursday. So we look forward to that. All right, appreciate everyone jumping on here. I'm going to wrap up this live post-game show. Pacers lose 111-104. I thought Jalen Williams was kind of the key player for OKC because he kept them afloat when things could have gotten dark. SGA obviously closed strong. I think he scored 15 of his 35 points there in the fourth quarter. But Jalen Williams, what he did offensively, what he did defensively, really stood out to me here tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Again, thanks to everyone for joining me. Full coverage at fieldhousefiles.com for both the Pacers and the Fever, albeit tomorrow's Fever game against the New York Liberty. Then a 6 a.m. flight coming up on Sunday down to Oklahoma City for Game 5 coverage. And then I will talk to you all very soon. Have a great night, everyone.